Hello, my name is John Cummings, and I will be your host for Inside Westwood. And with us today in the studio is Jack Wiggin, who's the chair of the Comprehensive Committee, the Steering Committee, and Abby McCabe, who is our town planner. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, John.
Oh, thank you. So the comprehensive plan, it goes every 10 years or so, and you're cranking on it.
Yep, that would be the ideal. So Westwood adopted a comprehensive plan in 2000, but the plan before that was dated 1961. Westwood hadn't done one for 40 years. So 2000 we did one, anticipated we'd update it in 2010, took a couple of runs at it, didn't really happen. So beginning late last year, we decided it was time to do the update. So we're at it in earnest now.
We don't want it to be hindsight in 2020.
That's right.
All right. And I know a lot of people have met so far for all the different committees for the steering committee. Do you want to tell us some?
Sure. In November, as Jack mentioned, we created a 17-member steering committee, and we assigned at least 2 people to each of the 9 plan sections. And so they've begun doing some interviews with some stakeholder groups. That's by talking with some town staff from various boards and committees. And then we've recently released and just completed a survey, a public survey that would close that the committee will be reviewing starting tomorrow night, May 9th at their meeting. And then we're getting ready to plan for a vision session on Saturday, May 18th.
That's the big one.
That's the big one.
Anybody who wants to can come to it.
Yes.
And what Abby is highlighting really is that the steering committee is 17 citizens of Westwood to get broad input from the community, and then the survey and the visioning sessions are all meant to bring in as much input from the public as possible. So there's a public participation plan that we'll be following throughout the course of the planning process, but a key part of it is to make sure that we hear as many voices in Westwood as we can.
So we want as many people to come on. What's the date?
May 18th.
May 18th.
11:30 to 2 at the middle school.
At the middle school. Excellent. That'd be in the cafeteria?
Yes.
Of the middle school?
Yes.
Very good. And so what does the comprehensive plan cover? I mean, why do we have it? What is it doing for us?
So the current comprehensive plan that we have is from 2000. So this plan that we're working on right now in 2019 throughout the rest of the year is looking at where we are today, our existing conditions in areas of economic development, transportation, housing, land use. What else do we have? Natural and cultural resources.
Natural and cultural resources. For the first time, some sustainability kinds of ideas having to do with probably climate change and that kind of thing. So that's a new section of the plan.
And once you've completed this, probably the beginning of 2020, who uses it and what do they use it for?
Well, certainly the planning board uses it. It's adopted by the planning board once it's completed. Abby and others have made a strong pitch to all of the boards and committees in the town to participate in the process so that we make sure that whatever their priorities are and what their agendas are for the coming years are incorporated into the plan as well. So the boards and committees that have policy or decision-making authority can refer to it. It really affects things in regulatory, so there might be zoning bylaw changes made. It affects programmatic decision-making, and it affects funding. So if a recommendation in the plan requires funding, we might be looking for grants from the state or elsewhere in order to provide that funding, or to town meeting looking for funding there. But everything that's in the plan is a product of the process and what the people of the community have told us is important to them.
And with this process, I know before, like for example, the Housing Authority, I'll just use that one. The planning board was able to incorporate more units per units developed.
Right.
A ratio, so to speak.
Right. Recently, the planning board did implement and brought forward some zoning amendments to require affordable dwelling units for all special permit applications that come before them when anytime 8 or more units are proposed.
And that's something that would have been in the comprehensive, so that the planning board had like a guideline in which to use.
Right, so the comprehensive plan is an outline of overall goals and then action strategies. But we saw a little bit in the housing section from last time was goals for a diversified housing stock, more variety of housing types rather than only single family. There was also specific to some senior housing. So over the year, since 2000, the planning board did adopt and bring forward some zoning changes, and one being age-restricted dwellings. Zoning changes were made to allow special permit provisions to allow higher density for some senior housing.
All right, and so like, for example, open space,
Mm-hmm.
there must be a large section there because,
Yes, we have an open space and recreation section. What else do we have? Oh, we also have a community facilities section that looks at schools, but also our libraries, our fire station, all of our public buildings in town.
And if you looked back at the 2000 plan, you would have seen recommendations regarding upgrading of the fire station, upgrading of the police station, the library, and so forth. That was all
so
in
we're
there.
going with the plan that was previously in place.
Right,
Yes.
and it's important to recognize that those ideas, of course, came from the entities in town that are responsible for doing that.
Right.
So it's a way, in a sense, a way of collecting all of the various activities that affect the sort of the physical development of the town and bringing it together in one place. And that allows people to see sort of the whole picture of all of the things that people are thinking about in ways to improve the community. That's really what it's all about. It's a policy document in and of itself. There's nothing in there that requires anybody to do anything,
Nothing
but it
mandatory,
does
but a guideline.
capture the ideas that people have about what should be done. And as Abby was explaining very well there, in housing, for example, there were a number of things that have been done over the last 15 years that were reflective of the policy that was in that plan, having to do with diversifying housing stock and providing affordable units and that kind of thing.
What one thing would like Joe Sixpack off the street might find, wow, I didn't know that was in the comprehensive plan. Facilities might have been one. I didn't know people would have thought of that one, but
What's something that people would be surprised is in there?
like if people would, like when you did your survey, if people, I really would like another basketball court, or I would really like a hockey.
Yeah, so the survey produced those kinds of responses. Nothing that in the open space and recreation area really hadn't been heard in the recently adopted open space and recreation plan by the Conservation Commission. What we heard was along the same lines as that. But no, I think the thing about the plan is that they won't see anything that would be a surprise to them, because somewhere along the line it's been talked about.
Right.
In other words, we try not to pick off things that are one-offs that somebody may have said, but we're looking for things that have
So they wouldn't
greater
say,
support.
wow, that's surprising. They'd say, oh, I'm so glad they picked up on that.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
very
now
good.
that's something that you might see. Yeah, I think the pedestrian and bicycle kind of recommendations might be something that clearly there's a group of people in the community that are really interested in that,
Oh, yes.
and others that may not be paying that much attention to it. So they might go to the plan and see that's been picked up upon, that there is we don't know what the plan is going to say, it hasn't been written yet, but from what we're hearing is that there is a serious interest in improving safety for bicyclists and pedestrians in town. So.
Sidewalks.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. With the recent survey, that was one of the most. One of the questions asked, what would you like to see most improved in town? And pedestrian infrastructure in terms of sidewalks and walking trails and bike paths was the front runner on that one.
There's a lot of gems hidden in Westwood.
Yeah, there are.
Is there anything you would like to point out for anybody watching, if we could send it out? Here's why we want you to come Saturday.
Well, we really invite all residents, all community members, business owners to come out on Saturday, May 18th. This is really the big brainstorming session. We call it the vision session. We have hired a consultant that's a professional in facilitating these kinds of meetings. So there'll be a brief presentation in the beginning to kind of give an overview of what we're doing here with this comprehensive plan. You know, a quick update from the last 20 years, and then we'll break into small groups and The goal of the meeting is to have an open discussion, exchange of ideas, to get everyone talking in one place,
All right.
so that ideas can be discussed
Shared,
together,
discussed.
shared, and then
Batted back and forth.
and then come out of that meeting with a good vision and some overall goals that the committee will continue to work on throughout the year.
Right.
So this is an important event for anyone who wants to come. This is an interactive meeting, so everyone will get to.
So
give
when I
some
show up
input.
on Saturday the 18th, the steering committee will be broken down into sections, and I'll be able to stop by each section and say, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that, or did you think of this? Or I'll be able to give my 2 cents worth.
Absolutely. And I think
My
what we
favorite.
found in doing this before is that a lot of the ideas that people bring to the table get worked on by all of the people at the that they're talking about it with, and those ideas tend to blossom a little bit or become greater.
Once it's verbalized.
Right. Right, and it's better, the survey, people can give us input in the survey, but there's nothing like sitting down with other people in the community and talking about the things that you're most interested in. We really think, and it's a sort of a community building exercise too as well.
Oh, excellent. So that's going to be Saturday the 18th
Yes.
Yes.
at the Thurston Middle School cafeteria, and rain or shine.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you
Thank
both
you.
for all the time you've been putting in on this. This
You're
is
welcome, John.
quite an
Thank you.
undertaking.
Thank you for inviting us to do it.
Yes,
Thank you for
thank
coming down. I hope you come down and tell us how it's going
Okay,
at some
yes,
point.
will.
throughout-
Maybe in the fall.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would be
Thank you
great.
very
Excellent.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
John.
Thanks, John.